The smooth operator, Mike Wallace, is on the Toyota of Hollywood hotline. Shop hundreds of Toyotas indoors in one of America's largest showrooms at Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. Mike Wallace covered the Heat for many years, and he's currently senior editor, contributor, and analyst for Grind City Media at Grizzlies.com. Hello, Mike.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, man? Good to be on again. There's some good times down there.
There are some good times going on down here. Crowder and I talked about, Jimmy Butler, where do you put him? It's like there's a super upper echelon of NBA stars. And I kind of feel like I was saying to Crowder and Solana, I kind of feel like it started with the Milwaukee series, this beginning of a coronation for Jimmy Butler to rise to a level that I don't think he'd been recognized at before. And then if you watched last night, like, what can you say about watching him and where he is in the NBA right now?
Man, there's certain guys that turn it up in the playoffs when the games really matter. And this is the second time in 4 years that we've seen Jimmy Butler do exactly that. Like he was the best player in the bubble, when Miami made that other run and got all the way there. When you talk about the single best player and what he meant to his team, he was doing a lot of that. What he's doing now, he did that then, but it just seems so magnetized now, and it's multiplying now because, fans are there and the emotion is in the game, and, he's taken out teams and MVPs and championship contenders along the way. And the way he's doing it is just methodically taking you apart defensively and always making the right play offensively. And, obviously you guys know I was there at the height of the Heat with Shaq and D Wade. And then I was there obviously through the big three with LeBron, Bosh, and Wade as well too. Jimmy has a seat at that table with those guys I just mentioned. And there's no denying that based on the way he's carried this team. This is absolutely Eric Spoelstra's best coaching job over these last 4 years. And this is absolutely one of the most clutch players that we have in this league right now in terms of Jimmy Butler.
You're muted, Crowder. No one can hear you. I can see you talking, but no one can hear you talking.
Yeah, I'm a caveman. That's what that red button means. Hey, Mike, something else we were talking about earlier, where if you ask all NBA fans, anybody outside of Miami would say Jason Tatum's better than Jimmy Butler. After watching last night, bro, I don't think I'm being biased by saying Jimmy is a better basketball player.
He's a more complete basketball player, no question about it. But there is something about that, that underdog mentality. Jimmy hasn't, he doesn't. Well, let me say it like this: he rubs executives the wrong way sometimes because of his brashness. He's one of these guys that the public persona of Jimmy is one thing, but when you get him in practices and behind closed doors, that dude is a terror when it comes. And he doesn't. Anybody can be his target: teammate, coach, executive, owner. Like, he's not afraid of anyone in that situation. So that makes it tough to sort of wrap your arms around him. And that's why so many different places were not able to unleash this version of Jimmy Butler. And it took Miami. It took Pat Riley. It took Eric Spoelstra being entrenched and having gone through what he went through with LeBron and seeing Shaq and all of that kind of stuff to be able to withstand the kind of pressure that Jimmy can put on you internally so he can get to his best externally.
Mike Wallace is with us. Did Joe Mazzulla get outcoached last night? Because you mentioned Eric Spoelstra, and he really, I think, also nationally, like, his respect levels off the charts right now. But they made a lot on the TNT broadcast about no timeouts in the third quarter by Boston, the lack of touches Jason Tatum got at the end. Did you see the difference there between an experienced coach versus an inexperienced one?
I did. And what you see, and it's not as much about X's and O's and tactical type adjustments. It's more about trust of knowing and being unafraid of rubbing your guys the wrong way. If you have to send a player to the bench, or if you have to second guess a rotation, or if you have to start a guy at the beginning of the game, but have to bring him off the bench in the third quarter because he's not helping you. Spoelstra knows how to pull those, pull those punches. He knows how to push those buttons. And he has the credibility to be able to do it. and it's not going to rub anybody the wrong way. It's just part of his in-game adjustments. There are not many coaches out there who can make in-game adjustments the way that Erik Spoelstra is now. Now, having said that, I'm talking about Erik Spoelstra in 2023. I remember Erik Spoelstra in 2010, 2011, and adjustments in-game were something that he struggled to make. So this is a maturation of him as a coach. This is a maturation and the trust level that he has with his roster, and you're seeing it play out. Mazzulla, I mean, listen, Boston is the more talented team. I think anybody will admit that. Even this, even the most Homer Heat fan can admit Boston is a better roster, especially what they have out there available now. But to be eaten up and outworked the way that the Heat are outworking these teams, there's something to be said about forcing teams to adjust when you're simply just playing harder than they are.
And Mike, speaking of adjustments with Bam, we've been praising him, all show. Where those first two series, was he not aggressive? Was it not in the game plan? Because last night, man, he was going at anybody who lined up in front of him. I didn't see that in two series leading up to now.
And you know what? It's probably because in the previous two series, Bam didn't really have, like, this one, he has Robert Williams, who's a dog in the post. He's going to put the pressure on you to have to perform. And he has Horford, who is the most cerebral center that's probably playing in the game outside of Jokic right now. And when you have such a thoughtful guy that's a tactician like Horford and a veteran, and then just a physical brute force in Robert Williams, you can easily get swallowed up by that. So if you're going to, like Pat Riley used to always say, iron sharpens iron. If they're going to be in your face and this is what you have to do to even get yourself to be able to play, Bam can't take any possessions off now because he knows somebody's going to be crashing the boards, or there's going to be somebody getting to the basket, or there's going to be, and he doesn't have a lot of depth behind him to be able to make those excuses. So they need Bam at his best on both ends. And sometimes, Crowder, man, the light just goes on, and certain teams bring out the best in you. This is not an unfamiliar opponent for Miami. Bam has seen these guys before, and now they really want to get over the hump this time against Boston.
What do you think this means? The Vegas line for tomorrow night's game has the Celtics as 9-point favorites. Now, they were 8-point favorites over the Heat last night. So how do you think this series plays out? Obviously, Vegas and the betting public thinks, okay, game one doesn't necessarily mean anything coming up to game two, because you just yourself said they've got a more talented roster and they are at home. And so obviously nothing happened last night really to change anyone's thought Vegas-wise about what's going to transpire tomorrow night. Do you have a different thought about what might transpire tomorrow night?
I do. And the Heat have earned the benefit of the doubt in this situation. Now, for any other series or any other team in the league of the ones that are remaining, I can see that line being reasonable. But we just saw Miami not decide to give a game away to New York in game two when they came out and won game one, right? They decided not to give those kind of games away. They fought all the way to the end in both rounds, frankly, in game two. So it's almost like, okay, we got one, let's go back home and let's rest up. And, if it's a 10, 12 point game late in the third quarter, we can pull back and we already did what we came to do. But that's just not the Heat's way. That's the Lakers' way. I've seen it. You know what I'm saying? That's been Phoenix's way. That's been so many other teams' way that I've seen throughout the course of this playoffs, with the exception, it's been Boston's way, with the exception of Miami. They seem to just say, you know what, forget the stakes. If we can go get two, we're going to get two. And then at that point, then you're flipping the thing upside down. So do I expect Boston to win game two? I do. I think they will win game two. But would I be shocked if it's a 5-point game with 5 minutes left and it has to be a dogfight to pull it off? No, that's exactly what I expect. So I would almost go with Miami. I would take Miami, and on that side of the line, if I was a betting guy, I would take Miami in the 9 points. And see where it goes from there, because I don't think there's any quit in these guys no matter what.
Hey, Mike, did Joe Mazzulla waste his one clipboard toss of the series in game one? I mean, that it's kind of a weird time to use it, right? I get it, right? 46 points scored on you in a quarter, franchise record for the Miami Heat in the playoffs, but you throw your clipboard game one of the Eastern Conference Finals, kind of a rookie move there by Mazzulla.
More inexperience.
No. Yeah, you're right, man. Because even back in the day, man, and I have the historical reference to when Spoelstra had to do that against the Indiana Pacers when he and Dwayne Wade blew up in Indiana. That was at least game, 2 or 4, somewhere around there. He had a couple games under his belt before that one blew up. But you know, it's one thing to have to go to your clipboard explosion, but he also did the ultimate crime, man. He lost the game when Bill Belichick was shown on the video board and they had a 21-5 run in their favor, and he squandered that. You can't blow a Bill Belichick video board moment, man, in that moment. You can't do that as a rookie coach.
Great. Mike Wallace, you can follow him on Twitter at MyMikeCheck.